Welcome to our 2026 summer garden tour. For today, we're going to go through. I'm going to show you all the plants in our garden. This year, mainly a lot of our palms have taken over, so you're going to see a lot of palms today. Hardy palms. You're going to see some cold hardy plants like elephant ears and canna lilies. And we're going to go through and just show you a brief view of all the main plants and give you their names and go through the whole garden. And so it's just right before July 4th this year, and it's very hot here in Tennessee. We're having some record heat. It's in the upper 90s each day, which you'd think most of the palms like, and some of the sabal palms like it. Some of the more tropical leaning plants like our tropical hibiscus and some of the Canna enjoy the heat, but some of the Trachycarpus and that sort of thing like these would rather have a little bit milder temperatures in the 80s or below. But we'll start out here with our first palm that I planted, and this is what we call the original palm. This is a Trachycarpus fortunei, and it's not grown a whole lot because this one we planted from a one that was dug in the field, and all the rest of them I've planted have been smaller palms. But there you get a good look at one of our original Trachycarpus fortunei. Good looking palm. And right beside it, you see some of the differences here. This is a Trachycarpus wagnerianus, affectionately known as a waggy palm. They have about the same hardiness as the Trachycarpus fortunei. Both of them, when they're mature like this, can take temperatures down to 10 or 12 degrees Fahrenheit without sustaining any damage. They'll survive a little lower than that, but their fronds will take some damage. The wagnerianus has smaller, stiffer fronds. Everybody likes it. And we'll go and we'll start looking at a few of the palms here and plants on the bottom. And here we have a Sabal Birmingham. This one's been hurt a little bit. It's been killed back almost to the ground a couple of years because it got a little cold on us here. Here in Tennessee, we have summers and falls that are really conducive to palms, especially hot and humid. But our winters can get very cold, down to -6 Fahrenheit one year. And we had a -4 another year. A couple of very low years for us here. Usually our lows are in the single digits Fahrenheit. But this is a Sabal Birmingham. These are good down to about 5 degrees Fahrenheit. And tucked over here in the corner behind our Sabal Birmingham, we have a Colocasia Aloha. This one's still kind of small, but that gives you a look at how the leaves look on it. These have been real aggressive for us here, and these can be grown down to about zone 6B. And over here, we have some good looking versions of our cast iron plants, Aspidistra. These green forms, we have quite a few of them. They make some good year-round foliage for us. Good down to about 0 Fahrenheit, or about zone 7A. And over here in this area, we've put in some other Aspidistra cast iron plants. These are new ones. There's different varieties. These have a little white type stripe in them. They're not growing too good yet, but we'll see how they do. The green version seems to do a lot better. You can find the green version at most of your local hardware or big box stores, I like to say. Home Depot or Lowe's. And beside that, here's one of our dwarf, and this is an actual dwarf Sabal minor. This one only gets to about 18 inches to 2 feet tall. It's full grown. You can see it's got the full size fronds, and you can see here there's my hand on this one. That's the size of the fronds. They're pretty small. Blooms and everything. It's not blooming real well, or some of the blooms, they on these small ones, they don't do very well. I think it broke off or something on this one this year. But anyway, so I don't know if it's going to bloom this year. It's been blooming the last couple of years. And over here, we have a version of our Fatsia japonica. This is a variegated form. I think they call it variegata. These take some damage in the winters here. Die back to the ground if it gets too cold. Last year, I don't think it did. It just depends. Put it in the shade, put a little cover over it. I mean, not a cover, but put it under some trees and stuff, and it'll do a little better. Here's our pineapple lily. This is actually getting pretty big. This is about 2.5 foot tall here. And you can see the pretty blooms on it. Unique. And this is a pretty hardy plant down to in the zone 6. And I got another sable minor tucked in here. We'll see a lot of those. I've got those everywhere here. And you can see here we have our potted bamboo. We have a lot of videos on it if you want to check our channel, but this is bissetii. It's a running bamboo. We put it in a pot. Keeps it in check. You can see one of the good benefits of putting it in a pot is it gets real thick down here. All the canes have to go together. So you can see how they have to do there. And this thing is really growing a lot. This is Aucuba japonica. This stays good and green all year round. This is one of our good year-round tropical looking plants, even though it's just a little bush, but it gives a lot of color to your landscape over the winter. And this thing is good and hardy down to below 0 Fahrenheit. And through this area we have another pineapple lily. It's not quite blooming. This is where we have a shade area. We got a lot of Christmas ferns in here. I use those throughout the landscape too. They stay green all winter. Die back just a little bitty bit, but then they come back in the spring real good with flush new foliage. Another pot of bamboo, bissetii. Cast iron plant, we like to spread those everywhere throughout. In the back here, I've got another one of those little dwarf sable minors, and that one's actually got a little bloom on it there. Don't put out many seeds, rare little things. Another Fatsia japonica, variegata. Here's another Fatsia japonica. This is spider's web. This one is trying to get some of the characteristic leaves, but not sure what makes it do it. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know if later in the year these will turn more. We'll have to see. Let me know what you think about that. That's what causes it to get that spider web pattern, or if over the years it loses that, like some varieties of plants do. And we'll start in the back here and work our way forward. This is our sable palmetto. It's getting, just looking, one of those fronds there is probably 8 foot tall. Look at it down here. Show you the trunk if we can get in here. Close up. See, the trunk is getting to be quite significant. Over 1 foot tall now. And back in this area we have some good blooming. They're kind of hid back here, these oriental lilies. Good hardy plant. They get pretty big. These are about 2 foot tall. Lots of blooms getting ready to come out on those. And here's our larger Trachycarpus fortunei. This one was planted from a really small palm. It has about a 9 or 10 foot trunk. You can see under the bottom of these, we always plant these, or I like to, these sable minors or something to give a, you've got, once these grow, the taller covered with the Trachycarpus fortunei and the lower canopy covered with these sable minors. And speaking of which, here's a decent looking sable minor right here. And we'll go look over here in the back. Let's have all types of little surprises around here. There's another smaller. This is what this larger palm we just looked at started out as. Small little palm like this. And back here, we have some pink china. You can always tell the pink china by this little pink stem there. Can you see it? And they also have this little dot in the center right here, which is pink. Aggressive pink china is. As we go over here, we'll see in the back here, it's another sable minor. And we also have in here a Sabal brazoriensis. And you can see it's trying to develop a trunk on the Sabal brazoriensis. See, it's trying to go up a little more up. And if you see over here, that one is more kind of stays low or spreads out to the side a little more. But I don't know if you can see the difference there. It's pretty obvious when you're standing here looking at it. I got a good video on the brazoriensis if you want to search my channel. Tells about how it come to be a new species and how it was found. Located down there in South Texas. Pitcher plants here. These had some blooms earlier on that were real pretty. Kind of fading away now that summer's here. Sabal Louisiana. And they're not blooming yet, but we have some Canna Tropicanna here. I'm not sure why these are not blooming. They're starting to here. I'll show you one. We've got one or two over there that's blooming. These used to be in a big wide area here, and the palms are kind of taking over some. Speaking of palms, we have a larger Trachycarpus here. If you go underneath it and get over here, got a jungle here now. Christmas ferns I like to put under this one, and here's the sable minors when they're first starting out under the palm. There again, we got that lower canopy plus some ground cover with the ferns. Year-round green. Can't hardly beat that when winter comes. And here we have a small European fan palm. This is the first one I've put out. Everybody always urges me to put these out. They're almost as hardy as a Trachycarpus fortunei. Maybe as hardy, very close. Multi-trunk palm. You can tell the difference. It's got the little spines, and you see multi-trunk. Sometimes it looks a little bit like a Trachycarpus, but those two differences kind of set it apart. Camaraps humilis. And here we have another one of our waggy palms. Took the place of our mule palm, which lasted several years. You can look back in our videos and look up the mule palm. Finally got too big to protect. 25 plus feet, it was a monster. It was everybody's favorite, big popular videos. And here's another Sabal minor. This is a big one. This is a lot bigger since it's in the sun. There again, I'll show you a little difference here. It's got a Sabal Birmingham. We'll do a little bit bigger video, but there's the trunk on the, or not a trunk, but the base of the Sabal minor. And right beside it's the base of the Birmingham. Anyway, there's a Sabal Birmingham. You can see one of the differences is it holds a lot more fronds and obviously going to get a lot bigger. There's a big Sabal minor beside it there. And you can see how much more impressive it is. Go around here and look at our first needle palm. This one's out in the sun in a good place, starting to put out some larger fronds. Needle palms are the most cold hardy as far as the frond and the foliage. They can take down to about as low as -10 Fahrenheit. Spear pull a little bit in colder temperatures sometimes till they get more established. And as they get established, if they do spear pull, they'll usually come back. This is Alocasia, which Alocasia is an upright elephant ear. As opposed to the other elephant ears, these are not as hardy. They grow more above ground with less of the bulb underground, and they're just not as cold hardy as the others, the regular Colocasia. And here's a look at one of the hardiest things we have, and it has hardy in the name, hardy hibiscus. Very large blooms. There's my hand for comparison. And these things can take down to zone 5, possibly zone 4. They come back every year. Very tough plant. They mainly come in pinks, whitish type colors. I think they may even have a bluish type tone that you can get now. This one's called Cranberry Crush, but there's some similar type ones. They like it out here in the sun. And as I'm sweating here, boy, it's hot out here. This is our Butia odorata blue form. Blue form helps keep it in, survive this high sun environment, kind of like we have right now, these high heat days. And you can see this thing's getting absolutely huge. And so we protect it a little in the winter time for about 2 months. And it's probably our most sensitive palm right now, down to about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. But there's a quick look at this gigantic feather palm. One of our favorites right now. It'll probably eventually get too big to protect here. And these are very wet sensitive or whatever, cold wet sensitive. So plan on planting one of these, be mindful of that. This blue form is a good indication that they like to grow in drier, hot climates. And here under our Butia, we have a Sabal Riverside, which still continues to hang on. It dies back to the ground every year. We have some Sabal minors around here for backup insurance when the Butia is gone. Here we have a blooming Tropicanna. Blooms on these, I think, are about hard to beat. I think for a tropical look, between the foliage of a Tropicanna and the blooms, they're really tropical looking. Hence the name, Tropicanna. Over here we have another large Sabal minor. And back in here, planted as just a small thing, you see we have another large Trachycarpus. Hard to see back in there, I was just showing you the trunk. This one's a Bulgaria form, but we view that as just a kind of a regular fortunei. It's not recognized as a separate species or anything. You can see it's already caught up to the one we moved, which is beside it there. And this one was planted as a small palm, which is another tip. Plant your palms relatively small, 2 or 3 feet tall, and they'll grow better than field digging one and putting it out. Well, here I am beside some of our larger palms. This is our Sabal minor Louisiana form. These grow about twice as fast as a regular Sabal minor and are good to about 5 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can see this is pretty big. I just wanted to show you this angle so you can see a kind of a difference in the size of some of these palms here. But Sabal Louisiana is popular, and I'll probably show you some pictures of when it started out there so you can see how it's grown over the years. But it's grown really fast for us. I don't know, in any northern latitude or above Atlanta, you want to make sure to put these in full sun. Any Sabal is what I would recommend for sure. They like the heat. But we'll go over here and we'll look size of some of these other palms if I can get in here. It's getting to be quite the jungle. Here you can see our rocket palm. And you can see the rocket palm is dwarfing everything in this area. And rocket palm is our fastest growing Trachycarpus fortunei. And we're quite happy with it. We put it a little too close to the house since it's growing so fast, but once it gets above this roof line, it'll be fine. We got several more Trachycarpus fortunei right here where I'm standing that you can't even see, that started out about the same size as rocket, about just 2 feet tall back in about, I think we planted this in 2018 or 19. I'll try to look up some pictures and put it in the video if I can. And we have another Sabal minor just to give you a size comparison. This is a pretty large Sabal minor here. You can see it's about 5 foot tall, and the Louisiana is a lot taller than that, a lot bigger. Just to give you a size perspective. Got another Portora in the front, still growing this year. We had those, they were a little small. We had to winter them over in the garage. You can keep those year by year in the garage and they keep getting pretty huge. But there's a pretty good rundown of what's in this area. I might show. Hey, this is Alan with TNTropics again. If you haven't already, go visit our new website, Our website contains a lot of free PDFs on growing cold hardy palms, info on Trachycarpus and Sabal palms, and it has a lot of links to a bunch of different papers on both, as well as we have a lot of information on how to grow hardy tropical plants in colder zones 6 through 8. So take a look and visit it now. It's either the link in the description